and the deputy directors of the various agencies. What exactly are they looking for in terms of foundational capacity support and partnership of each other? And more importantly, what do they want or expect of the academic institutions in their countries in terms of support for the development of the capability of the workforce they see their country needing in order to go forward? We're going to begin with a brief message from the Egypt Space Agency. As you all know, Egypt was selected as the head of the AU Space Agency. I hope it is being recorded. I'm not seeing it, so just let me know if it's been recorded. Is it being recorded? Fabulous, thank you. So, as you know, Egypt was selected as the host for the Africa. I'm going to. Yeah, Egypt was selected as the head of the Africa Space Agency. So Dr. Sedki has sent a message as he was unable to join us virtually, even live, as he's now, I think, in China doing something else. So if you could please run the video of Dr. Sedki, and then we will go from there directly to the head of the Ghana Space Technology Institute to do an in-person welcome. Dr. Sedki's message, please. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting us to the Ungana. Today, we gather to explore a frontier that not only inspires imagination, but also inspires the spirit of unity and solidarity for the African continent in space exploration and technology. In 2016, the African Union adopted the African Space Policy and Strategy. In 2018, Egypt was selected to host the establishment of the African Space Agency headquarters. This marks a pivotal milestone in Africans' effort toward harnessing the vast potential of space for the benefit of all Africans. The African Space Policy and Strategy is a framework, vision, and implementation roadmap designed to leverage space technology for socio-economic development, environmental monitoring, disaster management, and enhancing connectivity across the continent. The establishment of the African Space Agency further solidifies the national commitment to these goals. This continental body serves as a coordinating hub, facilitating joint ventures, sharing expertise, and pooling resources to propel Africa into a competitive position in the globe space arena. Through the agency, African nations can collectively invest in research, infrastructure, satellite development, and human capital development, ensuring that our endeavors in space benefit all African people. Egypt, a long-standing player in science and technology within Africa, plays a crucial role in shaping the space ambitions. Egypt has a rich history in astronomy, bringing invaluable expertise and strategic vision to the African Space Agency. Egypt's contributions extend to satellite manufacturing, Earth observation capabilities, and advancing space research and education. By sharing its knowledge and resources, Egypt exemplifies the spirit of Pan-Africa, solidarity and cooperation in the pursuit of space exploration through availing all the Egyptian space city facilities, infrastructure to all African countries. Since 2021, the Egyptian Space Agency has shown its commitment to capacity building through African training programs, covering 53 trainees from 24 different African countries. Through collaborative workshops, internships, and education exchanges, the Egyptian Space Agency empowers African youth with specialized skills in satellite technology, data analysis, and space policy. These initiatives not only cultivate local expertise, but also promote inclusivity and diversity within the African space sector, ensuring sustainable growth and innovation. The CLIMCAM project represents another initiative by the Egyptian Space Agency, where Egypt, Kenya, and Uganda are cooperating to design, manufacture, and deploy a remote sensing camera on board the International Space Station to monitor climate patterns, assess natural disasters, and track environmental changes. Egypt has announced the African Development Satellite Initiatives, the FDEF set, to build a satellite built by African for Africa, with collaboration between Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, and Sudan. The African Development Satellite will provide regional data to agriculture, monitor land use, and mitigate the impacts of climate change. This initiative not only boosts food security and economic growth, but also empowers African nations to make informed decisions based on reliable satellite data. By fostering collaboration among African nations, these initiatives aim to build indigenous space capabilities and foster innovation in science and technology. These efforts underscore Egypt's commitment to fostering scientific collaboration, promoting sustainable development, and nurturing talent across the continent. As we look to the future, let us embrace the limitless possibilities that space offers. From enhancing agricultural and monitoring climate change to providing telecommunication services and improving healthcare delivery, space technology holds the key to addressing some of Africa's most pressing challenges. Moreover, by investing in space, we inspire the next generation of African scientists, engineers, and innovators, ensuring sustainable development and prosperity for generations to come. Thank you very much.
All right, so we have three persons here who are going to be speaking from the perspective of their agencies. We asked them to speak from between 5 to 7 minutes each, which is then we hear from Paraguay, Dr. Alejandro Roman, who is head of the Paraguay Space Commission there. He's also in IAF responsible for emerging space ecosystems. So we'll be bringing a message about that. So we're going to begin with our host country, Ghana, Dr. Joseph Tando, and we'll go on to Cote d'Ivoire and then Senegal, then Paraguay. Let us try to leave at least 20 minutes for discussion between the panelists. Again, the central question is one, what it is that you're doing in brief, but more importantly, how would you see the collaboration between emerging space countries to share information so we can move further faster? And secondly, how do you plan to engage academic institutions and NGOs and civil society to help build up very rapidly the workforce capability you need in terms of research, education, and training? Thank you very much. Dr. Tando.
Okay, thank you very much for having me, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. So I'm honored to be here to give the speech on our perspective, that's from the Ghana Space Science Technology Institute, on capacity building and foundation for space science. It is a great pleasure and pride that I welcome you all to this significant gathering. Today, we convene to explore and emphasize the pivotal role of partnership in the foundation of building capacity in space science. I'll say this conference marks a milestone in our collective journey towards advancing space science technology in Ghana and beyond. Space science and technology holds the key to unlocking vast potential for our national development, from enhancing our understanding of the universe and providing critical solutions to sustainable development. The application of space science are boundless. However, this potential requires a collaborative effort, and I must emphasize it requires a collaborative effort because one institute or one ministry cannot do it alone. A partnership that leverages on the strength, knowledge, and resources of diverse stakeholders is required. Isolation, and that is why we always stress we need and we don't have the facilities, the hands-on facilities that will train, or they will be trained with, then the job becomes so difficult. And also, when we have the industries partnering with us, as we delve today into this discussion on leveraging partnership for capacity building, I want our focus to be on sharing our goals and sharing our objectives, sharing our resources. It's all about sharing, because one person cannot do it alone. So I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the partners, the organizers, the sponsors for this opportunity. And I'll say that let's all seize this opportunity to forge stronger partnership, inspire new collaboration, and build a resilient foundation for space science in Ghana. Together, I believe we can turn our vision into reality and propel our nation to new heights in space, science, technology, and exploration. Thank you all, and I wish you a productive conference. Thank you.
While I'm powering my computer, let me introduce myself. I am Professor Pierre Urugu from Cote d'Ivoire, and I used to work for the World Bank in Washington, D.C., and since 2017, I've been called to come and be the deputy head of the school in charge of research, innovation, and the development of the technology park. And I think that my friend, a colleague, Professor Mensah, drove me into the space program, and I fall in love with it. Okay. So it is with a great privilege and excitement that I am with you this morning. We were here but was 2019 November in the, as I believe, the same room, okay, talking about the space. And I believe what we have done, very exciting, was to lay the groundwork for the creation of AFCOMSAT. Well, shortly thereafter, COVID-19 shook the world, killing several initiatives, and the AFCOMSAT was not spared. I'd like to thank all nation universities, authorities for welcoming us back. The organizer of this conference, in particular, Dr. Claire Nelson. I don't know how she gets the energy, but I will ask her to give me the recipe. And I've never seen a lady with such energy. And I would like to thank the president of my university, the National Polytechnic Institute, Félix Houphouët-Boigny of Yamoussoukro in Côte d'Ivoire, Dr. Moussa Diaby, who authorized us to be here in Côte d'Ivoire. If you're not authorized, you cannot leave the country, and you cannot speak outside the country. Okay. And he sent his greeting to all of you, and he wish you a success for this conference. He has expressed a strong interest coming himself, but unfortunately, he had some other engagements. The theme of this discussion this morning is building foundation capacity in space research, engineering, and technology. Let me touch on one aspect of this theme and address the question related to the strategic priority for space development in Africa. I am sure the other panelists will touch on other aspects. And of course, we will have a discussion and we can exchange view on all other aspects of the topic. Across the continent, nations are recognizing the transformative potential of space technology in fostering socio-economic progress, scientific innovation, bolstering national security. This recognition has led to the identification of several strategic priorities that underscore Africa's commitment to harnessing the power of space. Let me simply go by listing few of them. Satellite communication and infrastructure. I was very pleased to hear this morning Dr. Dries saying that we should consider satellite space technology as an infrastructure, like a building road, like a building hospital. It's very important. We have a tendency of looking at as something extra, and that if we have time, if you have extra resources, we can do it. No, things have changed. While countries like South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt have made advances in deploying geostationary satellites for telecommunication, many others are yet to fully leverage this capacity. Satellite communication is not just about connectivity, it is about bridging the digital divide, enabling telemedicine, distant education, fostering economic growth in a remote and underserved area. Collaborative effort through initiatives like RASCOM, like RASCOM are crucial mandates. Health observation in the remote with the an opportunity for other African nations to enhance the capability in this area, enabling more informed decision-making and sustainable development practices. The third priority will be capacity building in education. Investing in education and training is fundamental to developing a skilled workforce in space science, engineering, and satellite technology. Partnering with university and a research institution, both within Africa and internationally, are pivotal nurturing the next generation of space leaders. Initiatives like a Cube program, a collaboration between institutions in Cote d'Ivoire and Tanzania, exemplifies the potential of such partnership in achieving sustainable development goals through space technology. Well, maybe it is premature, but Dr. Dries said that Cote d'Ivoire and Tanzania. Cote d'Ivoire is the Institute National Polytechnic, and Tanzania, Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology have won the 8th round competition of Cube. Well, it has not yet been announced, but since he mentioned it, and I think that I have the right to say that. Okay, so we are very proud of that. A fourth strategy will be international collaboration, which leads me to talk about international collaboration and partnership. Collaboration with the Global Space Agency, private sector entity, and international organization is essential for sharing expertise, resources, and infrastructure. As a developing and emerging country with limited resources, collaboration becomes imperative. The AFCOMSAT was an initiative by several African countries to create a constellation of nanosatellites. Despite facing challenges exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, it exemplifies the spirit of Pan-African cooperation in satellite development. Similarly, I just mentioned it, the partnership between ENP of Cote d'Ivoire and Dar es Salaam Institute in Tanzania to jointly participate in CuboCube program demonstrates the power of collaborative effort in achieving sustainable development goals through space technology. This collaboration not only enhances technology capabilities, but also fosters a collective approach toward addressing regional challenges and achieving common goals. A fifth priority will be policy and regulatory framework. Developing clear policy and regulatory framework is crucial to nurturing a conducive environment for the growth of space sector. This includes licensing satellite operation, spectrum management, addressing issues such as space and debris mitigation. A robust regulatory framework ensure responsible and equitable access to space resources while supporting innovation and entrepreneurship in space. To ensure robust regulatory framework, there is a need to have space agency or a structure with authority to develop national policy and strategy aimed at promoting, researching, training, and developing space activity. Several African countries have the agency. Cote d'Ivoire is in the process of establishing such an agency of Cote d'Ivoire. A sixth priority will be entrepreneurship and innovation. Encouraging entrepreneurship and innovation within the space sector is key to developing technology and solutions tailored to African challenges. Initiatives like incubator, accelerator, funding opportunity, we just have a question on that, are vital in nurturing a vibrant ecosystem of space startups across the continent. Our number 7 priority that I've listed is application for sustainable development. Space technology offers immense potential in addressing local challenges such as food security, healthcare, climate change, resilience, disaster management. Satellites like Egypt, OROS 1 and 2 showcase how space application can be tailored to promote sustainable development in African context, demonstrating the adaptability of global technology to local needs. And finally, security and defense. Enhancing national security through satellite-based surveillance, border monitoring, and disaster response capability is another critical aspect. Collaboration on space situational awareness and space debris management ensure protection of space-based assets, supporting both national and regional security interests. This strategic priority should guide Africa's aspiration to leverage space technology as catalyst for economic growth, societal benefit, and scientific advancement. They reflect a commitment to inclusiveness and sustainability in our development effort and ensuring that the benefits of space technology are shared equitably across our diverse continent. In conclusion, building foundation capacity in space research, engineering, and technology demand visionary leadership, strategic investment in STEM education, establishment of robust agency, space agency, and strengthen international collaboration. As we look ahead, let us reaffirm our commitment to harnessing the transformative power of space technology for the benefit of all African nations and for humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I got myself again. I'm Mr. Mamadou Sarr from Senegal. Say, I used to be the former managing director of RASCOM. As you see today, I've switched because I was supposed to be in the panel. Panel by my colleague, my friend Timothy Adiasong from Ghana is now the right manager, the young generation. So I think that he will come back to face many questions. That's why I shift today, because now no generation are here. And they are running fast. We cannot run fast. It was very slow, but we have young boys right now. So also I am working in Senegal in the scientific committee right now, but this is a new agency, new process. Regarding the question of today's, I'm delighted to be here because I used to conference in this area of satellite that I have been for more than 30 years right now, more than 30 years. I'm satellite web from mobile to fixed. And also I have worked with African Space Agency at the beginning, where they start with the policy and strategy. Also, I have been involved in the statement when they chose Egypt like the headquarters. I was been on that. So I have traveled in many countries and I have knowledge and information about many things on satellite area in Africa. After that, I was managing director of RASCOM for 7 years. So I am very happy and comfortable today to answer your question regarding Africa integration and partnership and collaboration for the space development. I will start by saying that we know that in Africa, we are facing the same challenges. The same challenge, not only in Africa, but even in Europe. The same challenges in satellite area, in space area. But we have to focus in Africa, the specialty here. In each country, we have more challenges, different challenges, but all of us, we can focus on 5 challenges that all of Africa have to face. Is economic development, food, environment, and so on. And looking into those areas, that means that when we need collaboration, we have to focus on those areas when we have common, all of us we are facing, so we see one by one how to collaborate. In the chess agency, we have started by saying that, just my idea said, who master the if can master who master the sky, master the if. Yes. Because right now in the context, we see that everywhere in the world, they are facing to master the if. And when I follow the speech of Madam yesterday, I was very delighted. Where we are going, what we'll do with the if, with the space, with the moon. People are thinking about going to the moon, trying to experiment, to live in the moon, to go tourist. But at the end, we'll have private lands, privatization, and ambassador maybe. So in Africa, we have gay players, right? Gay players, I don't know, men players, gay players. Some of those at the beginning, like Sudan, Egypt, Nigeria, etc., so on. We have new coming. Those space agents are new coming, but some of them, like Angola, they are very fast. They are new coming, but they are prepared before. But some of them, like Senegal and Ivory Coast, they are now trying to see how. So we need to combine our effort to see those that are here before a long time, that are coming, that are thinking how to come. By doing what? Sharing knowledge, brainstorming, harmonizing our position. That's why the space agency that I've set up, the main goal was that to harmonize our effort, to harmonize our strategy and policies. But first of all, we have to have capacity building. Before to do that, we know how to do it, what to do, how. We know how. Because if we don't know how, we'll know that for Divar or Nigeria, or we have to know how. So the capacity building is the main area that we have to focus first. Also how, if you know how, where we are going. Okay, and how to go also. I said that in Africa, we have to combine marathon and sprinting. Marathon because we are very far from those gay players. Marathoning, you have to run long way. You have a long way to run, but you have to move fast because nobody is waiting. They are not waiting. Nobody. Everything is moving fast. So if we say during marathon, that's mean that, for example, in the mobile phone, some of them are 2G, 3G, and some are talking about 5G. In some countries, they are talking about 5G, they did not master 3G. Is it necessary to go so fast when we don't master where we are? What I said, if I don't know where I'm going, I try to see back where I've come from. So, moving fast and doing run marathon, it is a good combination for those. So we have to see that we have priority. Some priorities for some countries. It's important to prioritize. Sorry, my English is to prioritize our activities to see which activity are more priority, and those for some countries is different. For example, if you say that in Senegal today, some of them we have no problem with food maybe, but we have problem with environment, dry season, no water. In some countries like Ghana, I see when I arrived, it was very green. And was dry. In Senegal, you cannot see such green. So in the environment, we have priority. If you see when the president, our leaders, if you budgetize for satellite, they say, wow, we are going. Satellite, you have no food. Why satellite? But we may know that without satellite and this satellite area, we cannot develop our country. It is necessary to assist us for development in many areas. And now our leaders are understanding that it's necessary. But at the beginning, some of them were saying that, oh, not necessary. Why I'm going to the sky because I have to eat. But it is necessary. I say, you master the sky, you master the heat. So by prioritizing our activities, it's important also to know that we can involve the satellite and if space technology inside. It is a priority right now. And I mentioned how to collaborate. We're collaborating by making, giving, setting a space agency, African Space Agency. But if we know that in every country have the space agency and want to launch satellite, what will happen in Africa? Each country want to have satellites. So, how would we combine our effort? So we have combined by setting organization like AFCONSAT, like ENUSA, I say, like RASCOM. We have to empower those organizations. They are here for that. But the main issue for them is financing, how to finance this. It's also a big issue. I think that my brother Timothy will answer for some question, because we are facing big issues. By also sharing, how to call it, knowledge and experiences. Because here I see that Egypt have experiences in this area, Senegal have not. So Senegal and Egypt have to collaborate now and to send our teachers, our engineers, maybe in Cote d'Ivoire, every coast, or in Nigeria, or in Ghana. So we have to exchange knowledge, exchange engineers, etc., etc. As I said, we have K players, but which K player? K players in which area? Because we have some that have communication satellite already. Some have small satellite, CubeSat satellite. But those have communication satellite. What for? What we see. And I don't know, because I say them that the first thing to do is to see the opportunities. Focus on the opportunity. What is opportunity? What to do? Is it necessary for Senegal to have communication satellite? How much it cost? Just for a couple of time to use for usage? Is it necessary? Why Senegal, Algeria, do not combine the effort to have the own satellite? Why then cannot empower RASCOM, which is here for all Africa? But if each country want to have its own satellite communication, no need. Now the new generation, the new space, the space is open now. Look, hear about new space. It's open for all of us. What is happening now? They are coming here, doing constellation, small satellites, but too much satellite. Covering Africa. What? Not for game, not for play. To use satellite African market. Why we don't do that? Yes, we can. By combine our space agency to have constellation, have ComSat, UNOSA. So I will finish my saying that we have to empower those organizations that can combine our effort. Merci.
All right, so we have one more person, Dr. Alejandro Roman. He's head of the Paraguay Space Agency Emerging. He's also head of IAF Emerging Ecosystem Program Committee. I actually had an opportunity, if you could bring him on screen, please, Dr. Roman, you could turn on camera so we can see where you are. We had an opportunity to actually meet last year more or less supporting his efforts. Obviously, he's in Latin American Caribbean as well. He's also to bring the Caribbean and stream, which I'm from Jamaica. That's in the works. I'd like him to say a few words about what IAF is trying to do and how working through NGOs like AF and the African agenda can also be expanded. And then we're going to open it up for discussion, question and answer. Before I bring you on, I just want to say thank you again to Dr. Tando, Dr. Pierre, and Dr. Mamadou Sa for giving us some insight as to what's been happening in Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and Senegal. All right, Dr. Alejandro, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, distinguished guests, colleagues from the panel, and friends. First of all, I want to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Claire Nelson and the organizing team for the kind invitation for this important event. As the chair of the International Astronautical Federation Committee on Connecting Emerging Space Ecosystems and a proud representative of the Paraguayan Space Agency, it is an honor to address you as Space Ungana 2024. The objectives of this conference align perfectly with our mission, exploring opportunities and challenges in space industry and building capacity to advance in the development of space science and technology. This forum brings together visionary minds to foster collaboration, innovation, and sustainable development in the space sector. We all know that emerging countries face significant and common challenges in developing robust space ecosystems. Limited funding, insufficient infrastructure, and shortage of skilled professionals are the primary barriers. These constraints can hinder the pace of technology advancement and the ability to compete on a global scale. Additionally, regulatory and policy framework in many emerging nations need to evolve to support space activity effectively. But despite these challenges, there are tremendous opportunities within emerging space ecosystems. It's important to note that the space economy currently generates more than $400 billion annually and is projected to grow to trillions to 2030. We cannot afford to be absent in this thriving economic sector. Let's explore some of the opportunities that we have together. For example, collaborative initiatives, international collaboration and partnership can provide the necessary support and resources. Programs like Japan's KiboCube, others in NASA, ESA, and AFCONSAT in the African region are pivotal in pooling resources and expertise to achieve common goals. In capacity building, we have a lot of education and training initiatives, such as the UN PNST, NASA RSET, ESA's Geo Copernicus Academy, and the IDEA Fest and Daily Design Dojo here at Space Ungana are critical. These platforms empower youth and professionals with the knowledge and skill needed for the space industry. Technological leapfrogging, emerging countries can leverage new technologies such as small satellite development and space applications to bypass traditional development stages. This can accelerate the integration into the global space community. And a clear example of that is Paraguay. Economic diversification, we need to invest in the space sector, and this investment can drive economic growth and diversification. Space-based services, including satellite communications, Earth observation, and navigation, offer immense potential for improving various sectors, from agriculture to disasters management. The global space market is experiencing an unprecedented growth, driven by advancements in satellite technology, private sector investment, and increased demand of space-based services. Emerging space nations have a unique opportunity to tap into this growth by focusing on niche markets and initiatives for solutions tailored for their specific needs and contents. In conclusion, while we pass forward for emerging space ecosystem, this is a road with challenges, of course, but the opportunities also are vast and transformative. By fostering collaboration, investing in education and training, and leveraging technological advancement, we can create a vibrant and inclusive space industry that benefits all. Thank you, and I look forward to our discussions and collaboration through this conference. Let's work together to ensure that the African Space Agenda and the vision of AU 2033 are not just aspirations, but realities that drive progress and innovations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So first of all, has anybody here ever heard of IAF, International Astronomy Federation? Yes? Are any of you members? You're a member. Okay. The university or yourself personally? Okay, all right. So one of the things that we want to do is ensure that the Africa Working Group not only sits on the African Working Group, but we need to also sit on other technical committees. And this one of the issues that have to come out of this for Ghana, at least, is a combined Ghana Space Society, where different people are taking responsibility of joining various organizations. Because I mean, it's very expensive to join organizations. Some of them are free, some of them are not. But to the extent that there's certain international organizations that you need to be a member of. So his committee, for example, the Emerging Space Ecosystem Committee, I'm not sure if any of these countries are on it. So as we go into discussion, the fun part, my first question would be, for any of you have a technical person in some of the IAF committees? And when you have a microphone, you have a microphone? Yeah. So I don't know who wants to take that, but do you have any questions of Dr. Roman or of each other? But that's my question. Are you a member of any other technical committees in IAF? Dr. Tando, you are a member? Okay. All right. Are there any questions that you have of Dr. Roman or of each other before we open the floor to the public? No? All right. Any questions from the audience? Well, I'd like to get started then. We talked about earlier, asked a question about 2034. We know there's a timeline that's coming out from the, let's say, the global space. We're talking about going back to the moon by 2027. There's that. When you think about where you are, and every country is at a different level, I'd like you to, we've talked in general about some things that we'd like to see. But in terms of the, let's say, the workforce development, we at ANU, for example, have been talking about a constellation to be designed here. What specific things are you seeing could be offered by a university from Cote d'Ivoire, by a university from Senegal, to talk about a collaborative satellite program that is going to move at a pace that is really meaningful? How I would like each of you to really explore that question, because we want to leave here with the beginning. On Thursday, when this public center is over, we're going to have a mini workshop to design a roadmap. And so we'd like to hear from senior people in this community. What would you like to see, and how do you see your institution, your government supporting this process? And I'd like to also hear from IAF, if you have any programs that we need to be plugging into in terms of making sure while we're waiting for the funding, let's say for the equipment or the access to the labs, we're doing the theoretical design, maybe a twinning process. What is it that we can get started with? Doctor, I start with you first, Dr. Tan.
Okay, thank you very much. What I would say is capacity building is one of the key implementation strategy for the Ghana space policy. So I'm from the Ghana Space Science Technology Institute. And one of our key mandates is to be an enabler of space science in the country. So being an enabler means you provide the right platforms for all the other institutions in terms of academia, in terms of research to sprout. You have a relation with the Ministry of Education to develop incubation systems also in terms of curriculum development and in terms of scholarship to build the capacity. So in capacity here, I'm talking about building the human resource so that giving them knowledge. Then when you are giving them the knowledge, you now need the infrastructure. And this is a 5-year plan in the space policy that has already been approved. That shows government commitment into advancing space in the country. The space policy has already been approved, and these are specific implementation plans and strategies outlined in the policy. So right after the agency has been formed, all these things are going to be rolled out. And for the infrastructure development, you need to build it together. And that's why I said it's always private and the public can also, like Ghana Space Science. We're going to collaborate with the industries and the private sector to build these kind of things, because in Ghana, I don't know about the other countries, but the private sector employs a lot of people than the government, and that is where the money is. So that is a collaborative efforts that we're doing, that if you give them the knowledge and you provide them with the tools that they can use, where do they end up with? So the whole cycle of the space sector is being covered in the space policy. And let me emphasize that the space policy has been approved. And these are the strategies that can get us to where we want to get to. Our vision is in the next 10 years, Ghana will have our own space hub, like a big space hub where it's right from education, right from where the infrastructure is. And also you have people working in the space agency, just like a space city, where you have people and kids inspiring the next generation. They enter there and their dreams to become astronauts is just clear. So all these are definitely stated in the space policy, which will be launched. And when the space agencies form, all these things are covered. Thank you.
Question, maybe you want to answer that, but I'd like you to think about this question while I see if anybody else wants to answer that. So we're talking about a space policy. Do any of the people who are doing, let's say, doctorates in universities that are teaching international relations, is space policy already a module in their international relations courses? Do you know? Okay, want to take that? Because we really have to think of, this is the vision, but what is the roadmap? Can we, in other words, example, that IAF can provide a module that some university is using in Uruguay or, I don't know, Argentina or Brazil or somewhere, we translate that module into English and French and then make it available to African universities. This is the kind of a conversation we have to have. Your opportunity.
Thank you. I will start by saying that I think as it has been mentioned, capacity building is the key. I remember a couple of years ago, I think about 2018, Professor Mensa and I approached the minister and asked him about the possibility of supporting what we wanted to do in terms of developing awareness in space technology. And his reaction was that Cote d'Ivoire has purchased a huge antenna, but nobody uses it. So my answer to him is that since nobody's question has led us recently at my own institute to create a school of aeronautic and space science. And so starting from next year, we are going to be offering a degree program in space technology. We have not yet started yet. In addition, to be now aware of the need to have a space agency. A draft of the communication at the ministerial level council has been made, but this draft is still on a government office and has not yet moved yet. And we work on it extensively. And so the answer to your question, we do not have yet a program, but we are working on it.
So the university has the plans to establish a program.
Yeah,
now you have to find, let's say, professors and modules to teach.
Well, this was my question. I am not in charge of pedagogy, what we call it. We have another deputy that is in charge of student affairs and academic. And but unfortunately, that's the way we do. The government has already created the school on a paper.
Got you.
So, okay, so the funding is going to be provided this year in the budget.
Okay.
And in terms of the human resources, the teaching faculties, usually we do have some program which we started by relying on a faculty from other school abroad, especially since we do have a strong educational alliance with French, and the school will be certainly partnered with a French school that will provide all the faculty for the teaching at the beginning while we are training our own faculty. And what we do is that we have the mobility program by which we send our own faculty for training, or we send also some students for abroad for PhD program, and that's how we usually work. But in the meantime, I mean, we have our friend from Senegal that has already quite advanced in this area, that we can rely on them for providing faculty. We do have a faculty exchange program, and actually, I just came back from United States about Berkeley. I was also at the UC Davis. Okay, so we are working on it's not only space, but on different areas. So we are at right now trying to see how we can open us up and go to North America. Jessica has been very, very helpful in trying to push us toward working with the American institution. And it's going very well. Thank you.
Well, definitely one of the reasons I'm here as a US NGO is to really build out the partnerships between US civil society and civil society organizations like universities and NGOs. If you could give us a 2-camera spread, please, so I can see Dr. Roman at the same time. Could you give me a 2-camera spread? So I'm hearing you and I'm seeing Dr. Damoa over there. And I'm thinking about the climate side of things and the fact that, again, if we're talking about research partnerships and education partnerships, I know NASA has an international apps challenge. I'm not sure exactly at what level these research partnerships can happen, but I do think part of the trajectory coming out of the first Africa-US summit, which happened, I think, December 2022, if I'm correct, if I remember. That's the first time you had a big conference in the US when they had the heads of government, the first AU summit. And so we need to really look back on the position paper, the white paper that came out of that, to see what were some of the things that were pledged and how do we actually activate them? Because if you wait on other people to take charge of it, it's not going to happen at the pace you need to happen. We need to have universities and already have aeronautical schools, for example, in Africa. Maybe they're able to share some of the courseware so we can have that uptake. If you're going to be buying something, you don't know how to use it. This is the kind of training. So actually, the Space Society and your space agency and your, when it's completed, will have talent to pull from. And so, Dr. Damo, I'm not sure if you step in terms of some of the partnerships in the climate space, because climate is part of the space agenda. I know you have been traveling around Africa doing climate research, some of it sponsored by National Science Foundation. So clearly there's interest in the US in terms of partnerships. What is it you're seeing? Wanna come here? Wanna go there?
All right. Thank you. Yeah, so I think from Morgan's perspective, the whole US perspective, I think as Morgan was, their vision is leading the world. So one of the things that this time Morgan is pushing hard on is to internationalize most of their activities. So currently they are funding a lot of activities, in fact, from internal funding from Morgan State University to fund most of our international activities. And so I think 3 months ago, I was in Kenya, where we want to establish collaboration with Machakos University, and with we had a high-level discussion and agreed on it that in October, I have to go there and install some of the our climate instruments there in October. So that is one of the activities that Morgan is supporting some of us, especially in the area of climate. Another program that we are also working on is we have funding from National Science Foundation organizing summer programs both in Ghana here and in Nigeria. So last year it was in Ghana. This year is going to be in Nigeria, where we teach participants on how to access some of satellite, NASA satellite data in various climate research activities. I think I was there with my colleague here, teaching all the participants on how to extract, analyze, and then process NASA satellite data. These are all activities that especially to help at least spread the word of how we will be able to access. You don't always need to launch a satellite, but we need that capacity. But we have the data available that a lot of us are not aware of. So some of the activities that NASA is pushing is to go out there and tell people where they can access some of our data, which is NASA data, which is free online to use for their various activities. So yes, it's a very how do I put it, pressing issue for both Morgan and the US government on how to internationalize climate activities.
So Dr. Tando, question. When you hear what Dr. Moore is saying, you're looking at, let's say, universe of the academic institutions that you're interfacing with, at your mandate is to kind of get them up to scratch. How can we build on what's already available?
You have right across the developing world. But there is Patrick Dr. Patrick is saying he is online and we're back online.
So Dr. Patrick, if we can bring him online, allow him to speak, please. If he's not ready, I'll just go ahead, and when he's ready, just put another hand up. So no, his camera is not on.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So as usual, my name has been mentioned, so I will not bother to introduce myself there. Okay, so my question goes to the director of Ghana Space Science and Technology Institute. He spoke about the policy and when the institute is being given the mandate, it will be agency and they will collaborate with blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I would like to know, because he mentioned that they will collaborate with the private sector because that is where the money is, and then others. I want to know the blueprint. If, for example, we want to launch a satellite like communication satellite, like Nigeria NECOMSAT 2 at the moment, are we going to collaborate as a space agency for the nation? Are we going to collaborate with the private sector for them to sponsor? Then we own the satellite, or we are going to collaborate with them for the two entities to own it, or for the private sector to own it? How is it like? And then also, second one goes to, I think, the director from Senegal, it's true, he made mention that it's very difficult because people are even hungry. There are so many problems. So, going into satellite technology and then other things at this time is very difficult. It's true. And the fact is that we can't solve all the problems before we think or start the dialogue about producing satellites or putting satellite into space. I quite remember about more than 10 years ago, there were still poor people in Ghana, but all nations invested, put the satellite out there. If you go to US, if you go to even advanced world, still there are so many poor people. So we can still go on, okay, to put every satellite that will give us back, okay, the trade-offs, okay, because whether we are poor or rich, we are dependent on the satellite out there. For example, the communication, the internet, and then everything. We pay navigation. We pay huge amount of money into this, for using this kind of product. So actually, we can't wait for all the problems to be solved before we start the dialogue.
Dr. Tando, please.
Thank you.
Tax waivers. And this is government contribution to help them, their business proud. When they are set up, they will help the scientists to develop these satellites, especially some of the components. What we want is, we want the roadmappers to get our own people or our own satellites developed here. So what I'm talking about partnership, what I mean is government is supporting the small startups to also build up to the level that they can help us develop the satellites. And it's not about ownership, it's for the country. When government is giving them incentives, we go there to buy the equipment or they provide for us, we pay them. But government has provided incentives for them, so it's subsidized. So when we talk about partnership, what we're talking about is government providing incentives for them, and we also benefiting from that in terms of production. Thank you.
All right, I have a question. I'm not sure if I don't think Dr. Sa heard the whole of your question, but I think you heard enough. Did you hear enough of what he asked, Dr. Yeah, go ahead.
Space industry and the space technology. The space industry, we may know that Africa have no heritage. Have no heritage on space industry. It's very hard for us. But space technology is for all of us. In Senegal, what we did regarding the environment and everything is, first of all, we have send some engineer. In the Cape, government have to make sure that if you send engineer there in every in Africa, you have to they come back home. Opportunities. So what we did, we sent some engineer, and so we pushed the government to let them come back, not to everywhere. Also, we used to have the Pan-African e-network in Africa, Senegal. I don't know if Timothy is informed, but much of you don't know about this Pan-African e-network. This was for enseignement, tele-education. This network is still here with many stations in Africa. And it was supposed to be handled by RASCOM. So this is kind of collaboration also. These tools, we can use them because they have many antennas in Africa, everywhere in Africa. But some people know about this network. The environment in Senegal, we have we call this Centre de Suivi Écologique. Centre de Suivi Écologique is combined all neighbor countries. All they say, okay, we have this for Cote d'Ivoire, for Mauritania, for Mali, for Guinea, etc., etc. Such ideas have been developed, have to be developed in Africa. In specific area, we said, okay, we have this main one part of Africa, but neighbors country can use the same.
Yeah, I think I saw a hand up there and a hand up here. So one and then two.
I was encouraged to hear the desire to cooperate among the developing countries. And as countries build intellectual capital to realize the goals ahead of them, what strategies might you consider to prevent brain drain? That is, the talent that developing countries have nurtured, they leave the developing country to work for private industry in developed countries or the countries that are developed.
So I think it all boils down to government issues as employment, right? So as I said before, if you are giving them the knowledge and you're providing the tools for them to use, when you've built the knowledge, then what next? And that is where you need to employ them. You need to give them competitive jobs that the salary is competitive compared to outside. And I think that is what, as a country, and I think as Africans, we need to really think through it. And one of the suggestions that I will make is, once we train them, we provide them with the right tools, we should think about how to keep them, that is sustainability. Spending a lot in training them and spending a lot to give them the tools to use, and they leave, you've done no job. So we should think about the end cycle of the capacity building. When we train them, where does it end? And you might give them a job, but it's very competitive. I use example of Ghana Space Science. You can count the number of astronomers in the country. Most of them get trained. When you call them to come back and work at your observatory, they won't come, because when you compare their salaries to their fellow colleagues at other observatories, even in South Africa, it can't be matched. So I think it's a discussion that we need to really engage with our governments and to discuss of how we can improve the part. And I think if we make it as an objective, it will be a part that we will get
to think about what is a spacefaring civilization as a planet looks like. And the thing is that too many of us are caught up in it's going to be an extension of what is. The whole geopolitical space is reorganizing. One of the things that people like myself are concerned about, we the people, is we may have to come up with our own agenda. Why do I say this? Because if it's traditional, you know, Artemis Accords on one side and China and Russia come on the other side, and then they decide to go to war, all of us are going to be toast. So we have to figure out, is there a third way? Is there a way for maybe developing countries to say, wait a minute, before you all go to war about this space, which really shouldn't happen if we think about space as ever expanding, then there's not the same scarce resource mentality that ought to be brought into space. The problem is that humans take a long time to change. Our spiritual intelligence is nowhere near, our emotional intelligence is nowhere near where we need to be as global leaders, and that's across the board, as this is why we still have war today, right? But if we're thinking about 20, 30 years from now, when we're talking about AI enforced wars, we cannot afford to enter the space community as Africa with the same patterning. So Africa has an opportunity to really think through the philosophy of how Africa will enter space. What is it that you can get your students to design and offer that the rest of the world might need? And maybe you're not going to be building the best rocket, but maybe you can build the best rover or the best food systems or the best communication system or the best robotic arm or something, because you already have those capabilities in your schools. You don't have to invest in new technology and new software. Digital twin technology is also going to be critical for space domain awareness. That doesn't require that much hardware. It requires good IT skills and simulation modeling skills. So might you pick something that don't require hardware technology, so that when you enter the space race, you're entering with some, let's say, knowledge advantage, which is on the cutting edge. Also, biotech is going to be critical. Humans have to survive in space. Do you understand that they're now studying melanin as a tool for preventing space radiation disease? Wow, we have lots of melanin floating around in Africa, right? Maybe there's something that you can offer the space community. What kind of technology are astronauts going to be using if they're living in space? How can melanin be isolated and given to people who don't have as much melanin or might need more melanin to prevent the decay of human systems? So there's so many aspects of it that are on the cutting edge that you might have a advantage. Last minute, that because of the way Africa Space Analog Simulation exists to be able to bring astronauts from the West for a truly isolation experiment, see if you can survive in the north of Ghana, when there's no mental shift, has been very different from when you're doing a simulation in the US, when you know there's a hospital 5 minutes down the road. Let me take that question.
All right, thank you very much. I think you've just made mention of very well noted. Congratulate the Ghana Space Science Technology Institute for having come up with the policy, and like Director saying, the policy is ready. I'm privy to how the process of formation of the policy was done, and I think that was very, very good, because they involved the key players when it comes to space in the country. And so, like he was saying, the institutions were involved in the formation of the policy. On the call, Mr. Patrick asked a question concerning the blueprint or the framework that we have for the developments that Dr. Tando mentioned. I must say that this framework is clearly mentioned in the policy, which that is the policy. Is it a public document now? But if Mr. Patrick had read what is stated in there,
Not yet. It's not. It hasn't been launched. That's why it's not out yet. So it's not out in the public to the public yet. Thank you very much.
Let me just say that Dr. Tando has to go, so we're taking our last question.
Thank you very much. Following on Dr. Reed's question, because we need to understand how significant that is. He said, when we have all of this knowledge, competencies, and skills available to us, how do we retain them so that they don't go off to private sector in other countries? I think we need to understand that it's not just salary that people are interested in, because the money is a means to an end. A lot of people want to be given wings so that they can fly. A lot of us come in with the knowledge, the competencies, and the skills, but we are being directed by people who have a lot less knowledge and understanding and competencies and skills. And as a result of that, a lot of people become suffocated in the environment. It's not because of money. They become suffocated because they are not able to exercise and add the value that they would like to add. So it is the environment that has to be created with all of the great ideas, Dr. Nelson, that you're throwing out there. If the environment is not there to give people wings to fly when they come to add value, you're going to.
Well, that's really true. We really have to go. I would like to, Dr. Tando has to go, and I want him to say a few words before he leaves. And then we can have an informal discussion over lunch. I'm not sure if lunch is ready yet. We're taking a lunch break now. Informal discussion over lunch. But if you could give Dr. Tando, as our host partner agency, the opportunity to say his closing remarks. And then I'd like to have a picture possibly with Dr. Tando and the rest of the team, Dr. Damoa and myself and embassy representative.
Okay, so what I'll say is I'm very happy I was part of this panel, and I think I agree with what she said, creating the right environment and putting in the right people. Will let you grow or will we need to take stock of the knowledge resource that we have, because I believe in Ghana, most of the universities, we have people who have been trained in astronomy. I was surprised to know that looking for somebody who has expertise in space law. And surprisingly, we had some in Ghana in aviation. Yes, so we need to have stock of all the human resource we have in the country. And when it comes to infrastructure also, there are a lot of space infrastructure scattered across. When you go to UNAIR, they have some. When you go to University of Cape Coast, they have some. So we have all these resources together. We can pool all of them, both the human and the physical resource. I think we can have, Ghana can expedite its way or journey to space. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So give the panel a hand. Dr. Mamadou Sa from Senegal, Dr. Pierre, I can never pronounce his last name. So I just say Dr. Pierre from Cote d'Ivoire University, and also Director General responsible for the space agency in Cote d'Ivoire off the ground, and your own Dr. Joseph Tando. Give him a hand, please. If I could ask him to stand, and if I could ask the director come up, and also, because I think he has to go, so I'd like to have a picture with him as well. Come up and take a picture. And Dr. Damour, while you're doing that, I just want to say to the rest of us who are in the room and when we're working through the rest of the day, again, because the question wasn't answered here, it doesn't mean it wasn't answered, right? We have an opportunity with a roadmap of what we're going to do. So one of the things that came up right now is this asset map. So the university have to get together to create an asset map. And out of this, we want by the end of this year, a Ghana Space Society, which is broad, open to everyone, to be established. Thank so much. Welcome. All right, thank you. And it's another.